Well, for a lot of you, we're right into the season. And it's pretty exciting. You know, Wisconsin, Minnesota's open, and we have all the early states open too. And then pretty soon, coming up here on October 1st, a lot of your states are opening. We have some late tricklers in, especially out east into mid-October. But I'm excited because there's a cold front coming. And we're actually putting this video out on Wednesday instead of Thursday this week. We're actually shooting it on Tuesday because Dylan's here to film for 2 days. We're actually going hunting out. So by the time you see this, we're going hunting tonight, tomorrow as we're shooting this video. And Dylan agreed to get this out right away. And I don't want you to miss it because this is an opportunity right now to get in the woods. And, you know, we talk about, you know, why hunt during weather. And we'll go into that in a second. But I hunt every cold front, or I try to, the entire season, all the way to the end. That's why I like multiple buck tags, not because I necessarily shoot multiple bucks every year in one state, but because then I hunt all the way to the end. You know, shoot a nice buck with the first one, then I'll hold out for something special or not at all for that second one. And last year in Minnesota, we have 3 buck tags down in this area. And I shot 1 buck for the entire season. I bought 3 tags, and I hunted all the way till the last day. I enjoyed that. And get a lot of use out of the property, put a lot of work in, but that means hunting every cold front literally all the way through. You know, why hunt? I think sometimes people put so much time into shooting or effort into a whole week off, or their big rut hunt, their annual rut hunt. They forget about these really important days throughout the season that really could equal, like these days coming up. Literally, you could look at one of these days coming up in this forecast and say, you know, this is one of the top 10 days to hunt for the entire year. Now, granted, maybe not opening day gun season because that's a special time. There's a lot of deer moving around, but really just looking at general hunting days, and you're only knocking off a couple that you wouldn't get out for, you know, like opening day of gun season. But you're really looking at, these are top 10 days out of the entire year, and you can't miss them. And we're looking at a 20-degree temperature drop. You can see this: 78 to 69, 82 to 61, 93 to 73. In these respective cities. That's a huge drop. But why hunt? You know, there's some studies out there that'll even point back to, well, the weather doesn't determine deer movement. Unfortunately, these scientists aren't out there watching these deer. In fact, I'm not saying they're not hunters, but they're not out hunting all the time too. They're not hunting in small parcel situations like you may hunt. A lot of these studies are in big woods. But bottom line is, they're taking points of them in that collar and knowing exactly this is how much that deer moved in the last hour or 2 hours. They don't record all those times in between. And certainly it doesn't record whether, yeah, that deer moved 1 mile this day, 1 mile that day, but that cold front made him move an hour and a half earlier, which is critical for us hunters. We can look around here, just look at your own trail cameras. When you get trail cameras, and I'm going to tell you how many trail cameras are in the woods. Just say it's dozens right now. But I have a lot of trail cameras in the woods. We have a lot of cell cameras out. And when we get these temperature drops, whether we're hunting or not, we get to see new bucks move in. We get to see new bucks. We get to see mature buck movement. And it astronomically and disproportionately goes through the roof when we have these cold fronts. That's one thing. Let's look at the extreme zone. First, I want to thank you guys so much for buying and trying our food plot seed blends. Now, I want to introduce to you our switchgrass blends. And I say blend because we have a southern variety and a northern variety specific to your region. We have a base seed that goes into that's specific to you. And then we have a couple of moderately height stiffening varieties within there so that we can make sure that your stand of switchgrass stays up longer. Check them out on our website. Thank you guys so much. We've sold seed now in over 40 states. And we really appreciate you trying us out. Check out our switchgrass on our site, www.whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. Let's look at the extreme zone. Let's say for someone to say that the deer don't move based on the weather, let me ask this. What about not moving? If they're not moving, that's a big change too. If they're not moving because of blizzard. Obviously, during the rut, if there's a blizzard, 50-mile-an-hour winds, heavy snow blowing around, are bucks out there moving? No, they're not. They're socked in. They don't move. Thunderstorms, lightning, extremities of weather, 50-mile-an-hour, 60-mile-an-hour winds. They're not moving, period. Also look at heat as an extremity. 90 degrees, 80 degrees, 70. It's all relative to your area. You know, 100 in Florida and it cools down to 80. That's a big cold front drop. Deer are going to move. Now let's look at what makes deer feed. They feed 5 times rhythmically in a 24-hour period. I talk about that all the time. They like to feed Like around here out in the ag land, they're out in the ag fields all night long. In fact, we don't get a lot of pictures after dark except for raccoons, those stinking raccoons. But we see raccoon pictures during the night, not very many deer. We see deer at dusk and dawn, not because they're sitting in the woods not moving, it's because they're out in the ag fields. They're enjoying the ag and croplands and out in those nice nights all night long. They gorge themselves, they fill their bellies, and then they're going back in their bedding areas where they don't move that much, especially a mature buck during the daylight. They eat browse, acorns, briars, and then they're heading to their favorite food source right before dark, which hopefully are your food plots or hopefully is a food source that you've scouted on public land. And then they're off to wherever they're at night, safe, social. They can travel a great distance. That's where a lot of their home range is exercised. But really, what creates that cold front? So if you look at, they're feeding 5 times in a 24-hour period. They have these certain areas they like to feed. And then they can't because of the extremities of weather. When a 20 mile an hour or a 20 degree temperature drop takes place, there's a lot of wind that typically takes place. Our wind is really cropping up tonight on Tuesday night, really getting windy. That's what's going to bring those cold temperatures. Sometimes we have heavy rain, sometimes we have snow. The bottom line is, depending on the year, you're gonna have a lot of wind and you're gonna have a lot of stress in the woods. If there's stress in the woods, if there's a lot of noise, just think about high wind days. I'm not saying deer don't move. They don't move much. They're not going to move the same distance. It's just common sense. That's something you see if you're in the woods actually hunting every season. So to say the weather doesn't create deer movement is totally false and creates a lack of credibility. On the flip side, if you see these things happening, that creates opportunity for you, and that's why you need to get out in the woods and hunt right now. Creates great opportunity. When you get to that 20 degree temperature drop, there's there's less than 10 for a 3-month, typically a 3-month forecast throughout the entire season. So a 20 degree temperature top is a really good one. I would consider taking a day off. I'd rather burn a day off on a day like this than one of my rut hunt days, because this is a day if you have a quick strike on an early buck pattern. What I mean by that, you've seen sign, you've seen trail cam pictures, you know there's a big buck out. This is what pushes him in front of your stand during daylight. This is what does that. The back side, the front side, right today, we have a high of 83 forecasted today over here in southeast Minnesota. High winds tonight. Probably not a lot of deer movement. Maybe we could go set up on a doe to shoot, but to expect one of those 5 to 6 year old bucks that I want moving around, just likely not going to happen. So you need to be very aware of that when you're planning. Am I going to burn a day off? If I had to take a day off right now and I have no sign that a buck is out there, then I'm going to save that day. But if you see bucks moving right now, do not wait till the rut. Get on them right now. This is a great time to get on them, and the cold front is what's going to put them in front of your stand. There'll be a lot of deer that die this weekend, whether it's does or bucks, but there'll be a lot of people that put their tag on a target buck that they've been watching all summer that's still in that early season summer pattern, and this cold front's going to put gasoline on that movement and really heat it up for you for a great opportunity at a buck. Number 4, the forecast. Let's look at this. This is what's actually happening. Say Appleton, Wisconsin. Highs on Tuesday, 78, then 69, then 57. Huge drop right there, 21 degrees. Wednesday to Friday, Erie, Pennsylvania, 82, 61, 60, 22 degree temperature drop in Erie, Pennsylvania. And then Wednesday to Friday, Lexington, Kentucky. If you look at those, the further east you go, you could probably push this into Thursday to Saturday. Those temperatures really dropping over on the East Coast somewhere. So really you follow that through about a day apart. Lexington and Erie are more similar in location, north and south or east and west. But as you're moving to the east, that front will be about a day later. If you look at this, some of these morning lows are crazy. Like you look in Appleton, it's supposed to get down to 39 degrees for a morning low. You get down into Erie, 50 degrees, and then 46 in Lexington, Kentucky. That's what struck me as, wow, it's getting cold. 46 down in Lexington, that seems pretty cold to me for a morning low. It's really going to be a great opportunity to hunt, folks. And even if you just hunt one day, I always look at, before the front's coming through, sometimes you can say, well, it's getting a little cloudy. There's going to be some major weather coming. It might be 7-8 degrees cooler on the front side of that than it was the day before. Light easterly winds. We're getting northwest winds tonight. It's 83 degrees. We're not going to see much movement. And so always the back side of the front is better. And look at this, even like blizzard conditions. Deer know if there's a big blizzard coming, they know not to get caught out in the open. They can get literally stuck in 3-4 feet of snow where they're out in the open and they're sitting ducks to coyotes, predators, wild dogs, whatever it might be. They know to stay back in their hidey holes, back in their bedding areas, and not really move around. So you need to consider that. The backside's always better. And so what I'm looking for, regardless of the barometric pressure, regardless of whether it's cloudy or sunny, I'm just looking at 78 to 69 to 57. I'm looking at, that's even, like Dylan and I talked about, a double drop where you can see that 78, 69, 57. You're just getting a drop every day. There's a lot going on. Great opportunity to be in the woods a couple of those days. When you get into here, like Erie, 82, 61, 60, I'm hunting that 61. That middle day, that first day of the drop. The exception is if there's still really high winds. Now I might, in Erie, Pennsylvania, get into some hill country. I would get into an area where it's the lee side of a ridge. You have that big drop in temperature, great time to be out in the woods. If this is a rut, I'm just getting on the back side of the woods so it breaks the wind a little bit, and I'm watching for that movement. You'll get a disproportionate amount of deer on that quiet side of the ridge or on the woods a lot of times, the field, where they're just seeking shelter, great temperature drop. They want to feed, they want to put the feed bag on. They missed opportunities of feeding. They're stressed, they burned energy. They want to go feed. And that's why you hunt on this back side. It's a great opportunity. So I'm looking at all of these. We're getting a great opportunity. We wanted to get this video out to you Wednesday instead of Thursday because we don't want people to miss out on this. If you have that opportunity, especially in the early season, we use HuntCast. I helped develop that algorithm with HuntWise. One thing on that, this is early season. That means, yeah, you might have an opportunity at a buck in the morning, but if I'm patterning a buck and he's coming out in the evening, the last thing I want to do is go back by his bedding area and take the risk that he's already there in the morning. So when you're hunting this time of the year, you're really focusing on the afternoon, evening. You don't care what hourly time it's saying is the best. You're looking at afternoon or morning, that's it. And morning only applies to the pre-rut, rut, post-rut, peak rut, rut lockdown. The rut phases for the most part, of course, opening day of gun season. But really, I'm not hunting much in the morning until that time. I'm really focused on evenings right now, regardless of anything else. So if it's a good day to hunt, it's a great day to hunt in the evening over a food source. That's what I'm focusing on. We're going to look at that movement. We're actually watching where Dylan and I will likely sit with a northwest wind tomorrow is a new spot. It's a spot we call the cairn. It's low. It's a big, beautiful water hole, and deer are hitting that on the way to a distant food source right out of their bedding area. So we're getting close to their bedding. Dylan even asked me, do you think we can sneak in there? I think we can, or we wouldn't be going down there, but it is a concern. This will be the first hunt. We're sitting out of that tree, and we're seeing some buck movement on it, and enough to where it's close to where I know some ranges are of bucks that we're seeing during the summertime. It takes a cold front like this sometimes to push them into that location. And so we're really looking. I'm excited about the does and fawns and medium-age bucks. We might have a 4-year-old down there, but definitely 2- and 3-year-olds. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what we'll see. The wind's in the right direction, but most importantly, this temperature drop right here. It's going to put some movement in front of us, put some movement in front of you. Of course, you have to have the deer in the area in the first place. A lot of times people say, well, HuntCast showed that I should be out in the woods, and I didn't see anything. We got to have deer there. You got to have sign. You got to know that they're in the area. But this is a great opportunity. You can't miss opportunity. Make sure you get out there. If you have something you've narrowed down and targeted, now's the time to go right now. Even consider taking some time off, but focus just on that afternoon, evening. So good luck. Hope you enjoyed this first weather alert of the year. We like bringing these to you all the way through the rut and beyond. Great opportunity to be in the woods, hang a tag on an early season monarch that you've been really patterning, and most of all, good luck. Folks, I want to make sure you check out my web class video series, whether it's how to design your food plot program or how to design your property in general. And we have a new one coming out that'll be how to hunt the rut. But these bucks back here are a testament. Some of these bucks go back to 93. They're even in different states. I urge you to check out those web classes that you can help yourself, help your land, help your hunt. The link is in the description. And also for those that have tried them out, I encourage you to offer some feedback in the comments below. Thank you.